time we catch up on what's happening with the XW project. Let's go. Hello everyone and welcome back to Rob's Garage. In today's episode we're going to check out what's happening with the XW project. I think the last few videos have been around welders and bits and pieces that are not necessarily working on the car. So I wanted to give you a bit of an update where we're at. I haven't done a huge amount of videos on me actually working on the car, but there has been some stuff happening in the background. Let's have a look at that. So I've been working on this Falcon for a while, and when I started, didn't really know that much about what I was doing or what I was in for. And I'm still learning obviously a lot, but I feel a lot more comfortable now than say where I was a year ago, where I didn't think I'd be pulling my car apart and cutting it up. So we've made some progress, but let's hope we can get it back together, which I'm very confident I can do. Let's check out where we are with this front guard. All right, so obviously there's still some repairs that need to happen on the window. I've taken off all the trim. I don't think we've covered that. I think we have looked at this before, so I haven't come back to the torque boxes yet. That's something we are coming back to. I have stripped this back to bare metal. There was a piece here that was rusted out completely, and I welded a new piece in here, and I think I'll just put a bit of body filler over that. There is a few pieces here that have got just like rust marks. You can see those. I don't know if I'm willing to cut them out for that. Maybe I will. Not sure yet. I'll have to decide, but obviously that'll be good. Fix that up and then put some epoxy primer. I've also been cleaning up a little bit under here, trying to get this closer to bare metal, and then obviously we still have our torque box to do. But yeah, really just trying to clean this up a bit more. Found a few little issues down the bottom here and on the other side, but not too bad. And then at the front here, haven't done too much, but I did damage the radiator because I was grinding with a wire wheel here, and you can see there's some really crappy welding there, so obviously that all needs to be tidied up, but this has all been cleaned up a bit, and I've removed, you know, some of the brackets and stuff that were sitting here, but anyway, I'm not too fussed about the front because I'm focused on the side. Now over here, back to bare metal on the, I guess this is your A pillar. I feel pretty happy with this, other than this top bit. I feel like this obviously needs to be replaced in the front sill section, and this all seems to be pretty good. Same with this, and then this part of the outside rail here, I guess, top of the sill. This needs to be cleaned up a bit, and I'll probably need to do some work on some of these holes by filling them in and like welding them back up and then re-drilling them, because some of the screw holes are enormous for standard sill screws. Okay, so this B pillar needs a bit of work. If we zoom in on here, you'll see this is quite rusted here, or not a huge amount, but it's not great either. So there's a bit of rust here. It looks like I'm gonna have to cut some of this out and do some repairs. How much of this, I don't know. I'm a bit concerned about how this looks underneath that as well. But the rest of the B pillar looks okay. I'm pretty okay with that. It's just this bottom bit that I have some concerns about. Then we'll move to this back part here. I did do a patch here, which still needs a bit of work to just grind this flat. I think I'm just gonna get my TIG and go around that and smooth it out. This is not too bad, but the worst part is this back quarter, because now this is in bare steel. So this here, it's got some holes and all. This was just all body filled. Quite a lot of body filler here. So this is obviously needs to be repaired. It's quite damaged. That'll be gone. This guard's never looked right to me, so that's probably needs to be replaced in some way. So whether I can get one or have to make one, I don't know. So I've stripped the rear quarter back to bare metal. There was a lot of bog around this particular area here. This was quite deep with body filler. The whole guard really had a lot of body filler. And that's quite funny because when you look at it, it doesn't look that bad. It sort of makes you wonder why they put so much on. Obviously, I haven't checked all the lines 100%, but there may be a bit of work that needs to just push this out a bit. I do know there's a bit of damage right here. You can see there's some holes, and this is a little bit, definitely feels like that's dinted in there. So there's a bit of work that's got to happen there. And I'm not really sure about if this is correct. There's actually, you can see the sheet metal join on there. I don't know if that's how they were. This had some body filler over the top of it as well. I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be or not. So that's something I'll have to figure out and decide, does it go back like that and then we body fill over the top of it, or is that incorrect? But the rest of the guard's okay. Obviously this is a bit beaten up. Coming around here, massive hole there with some body filler. You know, the inner guard there is kind of butchered. If we have a look, it's probably hard to see, but the top of this guard is very, very poor. You know, the workmanship that happened on this was, for that time, not great. So anyway, I've drilled out some of the spot welds and I'm working my way around to get rid of that. There's also the rear quarter panel. So I've cut the bottom off. I've decided to just cut it at this point and keep this for a reference line. You would have seen in my other videos, there's a panel that goes in there. So I'm just deciding exactly where I want to cut it. It's probably going to be just above this ridge line here, I'd say, across, but there's a bit of damage on here. It's a small dent, but anyway, we'll figure that out. And coming around this back corner, probably a bit hard to see. I'll put some B-roll in, but I've just cut this bit out just to give myself the ability to put that inner panel, which I'll put some B-roll in of that being fitted. So the top of this guard looks like it's got some lead filler here in the end, which is, don't know if that's how they come or not, but there's some lead there by the looks of it. And then I'm just removing some of the rust pits in this boot lid, and there's, I've obviously got the back window out as well now, and there's obviously quite a bit of repairs there in these corners, typical XWXY repairs. And the boot, I'm down to the frame rail. I've cut the boot out and I've got to repair that inner guard there, inner and outer. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do there yet, but probably just cut the bottom off and repair those and then weld the new floor in. And I think I'm just going to join it up to there rather than take that whole piece out, which I probably could do, but I think I'm pretty happy to cut it off and weld it up at that joint and fix up some of the other areas in the boot here. Whether I do this back panel or not, I'm not sure. All right, so there's quite a bit of work on the back window as well. I got the back window out and around the window, and I'll put some B-roll in. You'll see there's quite a bit of rust through that whole area. I would say it's probably going to need rust replacement panels all across the top section of the boot here. Some bits in the corner here, parts of these fins on the inside where they rust, which is quite common. All going to need to be repaired. That's okay, I'm feeling okay with that. And all the gutter channels and stuff in the boot need to be done, so there's quite a bit of work there. But I'm mainly focused on this side of the car first, and then I'll move to the other side once I've got this side mostly done. Still got to take this trim off, which I will work on soon, but I'll do that before I put in the epoxy primer. But really I'm just trying to get this as good as I can before I put epoxy primer, and then think about final repairs and stuff on this side of the car. All right, I've also got the front guard in epoxy primer. This is the Resto Finish 2-pack or 2K epoxy primer, which is just in white. I'm pretty happy with this guard. This is the left front, except I've chopped a bit out here because this needs to be replaced. I've left this inner structure here. I was pretty happy with that. There is a little bit of grinding and stuff, probably just tidy that bit up. The bit that I pulled out of there was pretty beaten up. You can see that there's a lot of rust, so I just cut really around that. It was a bit damaged above the weld there, so I just decided to cut that as well. It sort of sits, it just sits in there like that. And now, after making a little panel, or a little paper template, I'm making this. I'm going to see if this will work, because I do have one of these rare spares guards, but the contour of that guard is terrible. And I'm going to have a crack at trying to make that piece myself. So I've kind of trimmed out the shape and getting the general idea of where that's going. I've just got to get some of the curves right, so they're not quite right there, before I cut that out and start adjusting that a bit more. So I feel like there's a bit of a flat sort of edge on some of these. Got to make it look a bit more natural, but to be honest, what was there wasn't great, so I don't think it's going to be any worse. And when you look at the contour of the rare spares front panels, which these aren't guaranteed to fit, these are actually quite bad. Like, they fit all right here, but they've got a terrible join here. This is horrible. And the curve just doesn't even match at all. So I just decided to make my own. So my guards, whether right or wrong, curve a lot more down, and that's kind of how I'm going to keep it. That's where it bolts up, so I don't see how this works at all. And when I look at this also, if we look at where this is, what I've noticed is that this cutout here is not in the right place on the replacement panel. So I'm going to see if I can show you what that looks like. So as you can see, that's where that goes, give or take, but it's pretty close to where it's supposed to be. Let's have a look at the rare spares one. So when we look at the rare spares one, you can see the cutout is significantly bigger, and I want mine to be closer to what the original was. So I figure I'm just going to make my own and just not use this. It looks okay on this side, but it's just too wide on that. So I'm not really sure why they do that, but anyway, that's why I'm not using it as well as the curve. So this hole also doesn't line up with the original hole there. In actual fact, it's kind of not even close really. So yeah, bad panel. The 252V not running anymore. I mean, it does run, but obviously I don't have a radiator because I did nick it with the wire wheel, and I damaged the radiator, so that means I'm gonna have to get another one for it, and I don't really want to do that right now. So I think I'm going to put this up for sale. This is a 252V. It'll come with a gearbox, exhaust, everything. Whole thing will come out, so we can work on putting my Cleveland block, which is hiding over there, in here, and going from there. And that gives me an opportunity to clean up the engine bay as well. So it might be bye-bye for the 252V. So this quarter panel too was replaced at some stage. I can see there's a join mark, and I did know this when I looked on the inside of the panel, but you can see there's a join mark here, and it goes all the way along. This is not a perfect line. A few ripples and stuff along here, and it looks like we've kind of joined it towards the end here. So this is not perfectly fitted as far as I can tell, but it's not bad. I ground this down a bit more to give a slightly better edge there. Probably needs a bit more work, and I might even just TIG that edge just to blend that edge a bit better, which is quite common with a MIG. You get that kind of hard edge, which is kind of hard to blend. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Falcon project. I didn't really film much of myself working on the car. Mainly that's because I don't want to waste too much time trying to film it. It does take a lot of time to film, and really, at my skill level, I don't really think I'm doing you any justice by showing you what I'm doing, because I'm really learning along the way. Maybe at some point down the track, as we progress further through the car, I can give you some tips and tricks once I've had a bit more experience. But until then, we'll leave it here. And thanks for watching. Give it a like and subscribe if you're interested in seeing more of the Falcon project. And yeah, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.